Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of TED Talk. In commemoration of the Global International Women's Day, this edition celebrates all women, particularly those who have chosen to challenge the status quo in various ways. We'll be discussing the 360-degree woman. But before I introduce my guest, we'll go on a short break. Okay, welcome back. Our guests discussing this topic with me today are Adetokunbo Ayo Ogunsoya, who is a Group Head, Human Resource and Administration. I have Edna Kimiwa, who is a Country Manager for Kenya and East Africa Operations, and Yakoba Amwa, who is the Country Manager in Ghana. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, Barry.
All
Hello,
right, so
Barry.
Edna, I'll be starting with you. As a country manager, for Kenya and East Africa operations, how do you juggle being career focused in a field dominated by men?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think to start off, I was born in a family of boys. I'm the only girl, so that started off where I felt I was equally, I had the same opportunities as my brothers. And in my family, there was no girl, there was no boy. We were all the same. So that sort of, put me in that space where I did not feel that I'm any different. And also going on to becoming, taking on a technical role as an engineer to start my career. And I worked with men quite a bit. So that also, put me in a space where I was quite comfortable actually. So in regards to your question is, I think it also starts off from your family setting, and that shapes your beliefs. And for me, I always thought I could do anything, as a man can do. So that's why I chose that career, and I felt very comfortable and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Thank you.
Okay. Tokubo, would you like to add to that?
Okay, thanks, Barry. Just similarly to what Edna has said as well, the kind of background I come from as well. My dad, we have five of us kids, and he always had this mindset that what the sons can do, the daughters can do as well. So growing up, then we daughters were particularly encouraged to do chores. What my brothers used to do. Being the last child, I had a number of my siblings away in school most of the time. And back home, anything that needed to be done, my dad would insist that I should get it done. I remember washing cars, having to tinkle with electricals and all that. My dad would say, "You can do it. You can do it." And I remember when it was time to choose a career, then I kept on changing my mind. I would say I want to become an architect today. I want to be something tomorrow. My dad would never discourage. I would say that, oh, because you're a girl, you can't do that. He would always want to get us to aspire to be the best that we can be. So one thing I know is that the background I come from, family background, definitely helped in shaping the mindset that I can conquer, I can achieve what I want to achieve. Yes, I did end up in a career, in a profession that I would say maybe it's like balanced, but maybe within Nigeria, if I say I have more women in HR than men, but working in the male-dominated sector right now, working in the IT industry, it's quite interesting. And I have the mindset of I'm a person first. I don't really see myself as a woman first. I see myself as a person first. So that helps me to be balanced, in relating with my team members and working in the environment in which I work in so I can thrive. Thank you.
Yakoba?
Thanks, Barry. And I identify with the stories of Edna and uh, Takumbo because I also come from a family of four boys. I'm the only girl. I'm the last. So my games and everything was we all do everything. Play the football with the boys, climb the trees, jump and all that with them. And similarly, in terms of career, in fact, I actually wanted to become a doctor. I said I was going to, a friend of mine and we said we're going to look for the cure to AIDS. So I started off in science, went through to arts, into business, and now I'm into IT. And interestingly, I I just think that I don't see myself being a woman as a limitation, because at the end of the day, it is what you want to achieve, what you're expected to do, and how you focus and bring yourself to bear on those responsibilities. And I think that, of course, support is very critical, because if you are also discouraged everywhere and at every venture, you may give up. So I think that from home and also at the workplace, there is enough support that helps us not to see ourselves as being women and therefore very different and not being able to achieve what we are expected to. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So now let's talk about, balancing being a mom, wife and motherly figure within your family. Tokumbo, how do you go about, achieving that?
Okay, thank you for that question, Barry. Essentially, as of last year when we had the pandemic, it kind of made me appreciate the value of relationships and people. The pandemic happened and it seems as if everybody was isolated. I just thank God for the kind of husband that I have. My family has been so supportive, right through. I was able to appreciate the value of going virtual. I became very adept in using Zoom and Teams and calls and all that, calling family members both home and abroad. It became the opportunity to, leverage, and reach out to people. Then one thing that has really helped, in balancing families, the support. My husband is very understanding. And when it comes to people handling household responsibilities, sometimes, some of those days, particularly before the pandemic, coming back late when he's tired and all that, my husband doesn't hesitate to help me out with some of those things that we need to do, on the home front. It's so helpful when you have someone that understands when you have to work late hours, or when there's some things that you probably cannot handle that are naturally some responsibilities that you need to handle within the home front. So when you have that support, it just helps you to go all out there to give your best. So that's the one thing that I can call a major strength. And I really appreciate my family for the support I've gotten. That's really helped me to maintain that balance. And also my faith, juggling everything together when you have a good family support and background and a good faith, I call it spiritual support. It also helps you to keep things in perspective so that you can keep mind, soul, and body all together in balance or in equilibrium, so to speak. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yakoba, do you have any?
Yes, I think that all of us can speak to support, I believe, because if you can, I remember at a point in time in my career, we had association of ladies in the organization, and we were called the divas. And at the launch, my MD at the time had said that usually women are disadvantaged because at a point in time you may have to take a call as to whether you want to pursue your career or you want to take care of your family. Sometimes those choices come in and you have to take a call. It may delay your career, or you may end up just having to stop maybe when the children start coming in. Particularly with respect to the pandemic, I think that during the lockdown where everybody was not going anywhere, and we all were on Teams and on Zoom and on phone calls, there was really no barrier to your home life and your work life. Actually, somebody put it that it's not working from home, but it is working with the home. So you have to be working and also be taking care of the home at the same time. Similar to what Tokumbo said, I think I also have a very supportive husband. He's been very understanding. He's an entrepreneur, so his time all through has been more flexible than mine. But coming to working with the home, my daughters are at this stage fairly grown, so the level of independence is they don't require you to be with them, so that also helps. But even previously, I think that when you let them know that this is time for work, this is time for the home, people respect it and they give you that leverage for you to be able to focus and to finish what you have to do. So I think that this is how I managed to juggle. And also the fact that at the end of it all, I mean, with all the anxiety that the pandemic brought, having faith in God also stabilizes you because you have a number to meet. You can't see your customer. You have to deal with them on phone, on email, and all that, and still take care of yourself, your family, and all. And I think that my faith also, like Tokumbo said, is what also kept me through that very thick of the pandemic. Thank you.
Edna?
Um, so I think for me, being a mom, a wife, um, has had a lot of pluses to my career. I don't think I'd be where I am unless I had the support from my family, my extended family, because my career has had a lot of trouble over the years, even my current role right now. So, of course, I've had to rely on family to support me when I had to be away. Of course, my kids has to have had to go to school, you know. So there are quite a number of people in my life who supported my career. That includes my husband, my extended family, and also my kids, because it's not easy when you have to travel, and they also have to be understanding for you to be able to do your job. So I think from that perspective, I've seen some of the family members and the people around you actually help you to get where you are. Also, I think being a mom and all the roles we take has made me more understanding to my colleagues. You have empathy, you can understand the situation, even how you look at situations, you can actually relate with even your customers and people out there. So I think, having all these hats that we wear makes us actually better at our job, and how we go about our career. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. So, now let's talk about, not losing yourself. So when we say, you know, the ability to not be able to lose you as your own person now. Yakoba, what are some of, the things you do or some of the things you've done to avoid this?
Um, yes, I mean, you need that fair balance. Otherwise, you would always be on the adrenaline rush. So for me, I think that initially, before I joined Inlaks, I used to have a rule where I say that once I get home, I drop all my titles. I am wife and mother. And my laptop then used to go into the wardrobe, and then all other mails would be responded to from the phone. And it is only on exceptional cases that I pull out the laptop if I have to do an urgent report and all that. Now, here we are with this pandemic, and everything is all in your face. There is no more the office and the home. So
Mm,
what I have been doing is that I always kind of I'm a bit of a planner, I should say, and therefore I try to segment things a bit. So I'm doing this from this time to that time, and I cut off at a point, and then I try to first and foremost I talk to my husband, try and touch base, especially if I'm coming from work. Maybe we'll chat in the course of the day briefly. If we are not able to, once I come, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, how was your day? That kind of thing, because our schedules are very different. Sometimes he would be working through the night and I'm just totally off. So at least catch up 10 minutes thereabout before you sleep. So for finding myself, I think that I block off time for myself in the course of the day, especially in the evenings, do a bit of reading, catching up with the family, and then also to take a good rest, because I also believe that if you don't rest well, your body will not rejuvenate and kick off for you to move it the following day. So that's how I usually manage it. I do a bit of reading. I talk with the family. I believe in face-to-face talking, so chat with them. And one thing that this pandemic also has helped us, I came from quite a close-knit family that with everybody growing up, moving to other places, we started a Zoom meeting once a week, which we have kept till now. And it's one of the times we all look out for. I mean, we talk from childhood stories to everything. And at the end of it all, we all bring up our prayer topics and we pray. So the idea, it started off as a prayer meeting, but it's become a catch-up session. Sometimes my husband even gets a bit jealous because he sees us laughing away, talking about childhood stories and all that. And I think that it also helps me find myself in a way. And we just realized that we've kept at it for a year and it's going, and there is not a week we miss out on it. So these are all ways that I find myself, and as well as also attending services, church services. It's also a way that I find myself. Thank you.
Okay. Edna?
Okay, so I think for me is trying to have an individual identity. At times we are caught up in so many, because of the many hats we have. At times you may lose yourself in one or another. So I think having your individualism, where you also have your own dreams, your own interests, and also the values you have. If you keep those in mind, you'll not lose yourself. So what are your interests? Do you enjoy watching a certain sport? Do you like doing certain things? Do you have interest, you as an individual? Then those give you that balance, away from the work and all the other things that you have to do. So I think for me, it has been, I get to do some golf once in a while when I can. Of course, spending time with family because if I travel a lot, I prioritize my family first. Also getting other interests, reading books, if there are movies you like. That keeps you, balanced, and also you also enjoy your life because, you have the things you like outside of all the other things you have to do. So that gives you that balance in life, and also you get to enjoy what you do. Or albeit sometimes there's a lot of pressure, but you still keep that positive mindset as well. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Tokumbo, would you like to, add to that? There's some
Just
things
to,
you still do.
all right. Just to add to what Edna and Yakuba have said, like it's been in the last 1 year plus now with the pandemic and all that, and the reality of remote work coming to stay. When we talk about balance, now it's more like work-life integration, because you see yourself having to work sometimes late hours, even while at home, but you are able to multitask. And like I mentioned earlier, when you have a strong support system, it helps you to do so much more. So for me, I learned to know how to kind of compartmentalize things. Apart from work and all that, there are things that I actually enjoy as well. One thing in particular that I've been able to kind of adopt in the last couple of months was to see how I could ensure that I pay attention to my health. So, of course, I've been very deliberate about going for walks, taking the vitamins, immune boosting, and all that. And I've done a lot of reading in the last 1 year. I've always believed in personal development, but with the opportunity of having the opportunity of working remotely, give me that opportunity to actually attend a lot of webinars, conferences, workshops that have helped with my personal development, that have also tie into developing me as a person on the job. So that kind of gives me a lot of pleasure, when I know that I'm growing mentally, and I have that opportunity to also build on my wellness and well-being. So of course, I love to catch up on my rest of weekends. I know I may be guilty of working late on weekdays. I admit that sometimes the hours overrun. I'm still saying those meals that late hours. But on weekends, like my Saturdays are sacrosanct. Sundays are for church in the mornings. But Saturdays I try to relax as much as I can and catch some fun. I haven't started going for movies yet. I still don't trust the system enough yet to go for movies. I do have my shows that I love to watch. Yeah, thank you.
It's great. It's really nice to hear some of these tips, but let's talk about now, what some of the struggles is, what some of the struggles you must have faced or you might have faced when you started to balance everything. Edna, would you like to go first?
It's an interesting topic. I think earlier on when I was starting my career and my kids were young, so you're torn between your work. Are you giving your family enough time? You go through a lot of guilt, especially if you have to go away for a while. So that was tough. So you have to, come to a conclusion. You cannot be superwoman to be everywhere at the same time and be everything to everyone. So you learn how to delegate, make sure everything is taken care of. So you sort of find a way to manage that. And of course, as I said, when you have people who support you, it makes it a lot easier. So also, the fact that we're able to multitask, it helps a lot in regards to how we manage our lives, and the many hats we have to wear, because you have to take care of course, you make sure no ball is dropped. So I think in regards to that, in the early days, you go through that journey of trying to get that balance, but eventually you get there. And you accept that you can't be everything at every time to everyone, and you find a way of how to manage that. So I think young people or young ladies in their professions can relate to that. And yeah, so that's how I've been able to do it. So just getting people to help you have to delegate, keep things in view, taking care everything is done well. Yeah, so multitasking is a definite advantage. Yeah, thank you.
Great.
I just remembered an incident also earlier in my career where I was working in the bank, and you do, I wouldn't say 8 to 5 because we never closed at 5. We were closing late and we're working on Saturdays, and training was fixed on Sundays if there was. So practically the whole week you are totally gone. And one time I came home and my elder daughter just said, "Ah, mommy, as for you, anytime you come, I'm asleep." So it was like a check for me. And so I tried to, on weekends sometimes, or Saturdays, I take them to the office because the customers were few, and at least they would be tucked away somewhere so that I keep an eye. And one day, the younger one had to use the loo, and I was in the bank. I think even that was a weekday. They had closed from school, and they couldn't go home, so they had to bring them to me at the office. And this one had to use the washroom, and the washroom had just a wall between that and the banking hall. So I was busy at the banking hall. All I heard her scream was, "Mommy, I have finished." And there were customers in the banking hall. And they all burst out laughing because she was calling me to come and clean her up. And so that was, and I mean, kind of everybody kind of understood. I had to excuse myself and go and take care of her. So, like Edna said, you really need support because you can't take them to work. And this was just an exception. But I think one way I also try to be able to juggle was that I try and know that they are home around this time. I check on them. What homework did you bring? If there is any difficulty, we go through on phone. And then when I come, because I'm sure that by the time I get home, maybe they will be sleeping, then I will go through and do the signing. Or if my husband happens to be home, he would then take care of it. So the support is really critical for you to be able to juggle effectively. And like Edna also said, you don't want any ball to drop, but you can't always have everything covered. So you need your support system to assist. Thank you.
Great. Tokumbo?
If I might just also chip in on that too as well. Like what Yakuba just said now about ensuring that you don't allow any balls to drop. And for me, those major balls are, when you look at it in my life, my family naturally should come first. But I know sometimes those of us that are working women, we may have that tendency to want to put our jobs first. But really, one thing I learned, particularly when I just got married, then you know it was funny. I think I got my job, myself working in this particular job a few months after I got married. So what happened was that the excitement of wanting to work, you want to prove yourself. It's a new place and all that. Sometimes I would get home, I'll take work home. I'm so engrossed. I'm taking calls and everything. I don't even remember to even engage or find out from my husband, oh, how was your day and all that stuff. And I realized that at the time that look, I need to pay more attention. It's not only about me and my job. My husband is a doctor. He has his own job too as well. He's also very busy. So I had to find a way to prioritize, first things first. Try to have that understanding that look, he also has his own bit. Try to get it's only about your own world. Find out what is going on in his own world as well. So that kind of help is kind of focus. So it's not only about me and my stuff and my job and all that. So that kind of helps us to have some balance as regards having to balance the work and the home front and everything. And thank God, like I said, having an understanding spouse does go a long way, to support you and be understanding about some of those things that we need to deal with. Thank you.
Great. So really interesting stories. So now let's talk about, this pandemic now. I know, Yakoba, you gave, some instances and, stories about trying to be there more for the kids and all. But let's talk about now, how do you put all of that together? How do you juggle being a wife, being a mom, being your own person now, and all of that? But then now in this state that we're in this pandemic that we've been put in. So how are you able to put all of that together, Yakova?
Okay, so I used to cook. Initially, I mean, early stages of our lives when my kids were younger, working in the bank and all that, I used to do my cooking on Friday nights. So I come home, I'm already tired because I needed to go to work on Saturday. So I will cook on Friday through the night till very late, and then leave the food to cool and I mean, separate them and put them in the freezer for the week. Then early Saturday, I have to go to work. And that continued for a while until maybe if I'm off on a Saturday, then I get to cook on Saturday, or maybe worst case Sundays after church. But I try to keep my Sundays open so that I could rest, I could sit with the family and do something together. Because when you are tired and you're also having to cook and all, sometimes you can easily get irritated. So with currently, I think that, well, my girls are big now, so they can also cook. They can do some major things, and I just don't have to be there all the time in terms of what they need to do. So right now, what we normally do is that you have in the mornings, maybe everybody is on a call, everyone is on in one meeting or the other, or somebody worked through the night and is sleeping in the morning, and therefore you have to give them that break. And so basically, I think that we all try to get together in the evenings to talk. But if you have teenage girls who just pass through the living room into their rooms and hardly sit, you end up not even having the chance to talk. So you have to deliberately maybe say that, come out, let's just take a stroll, let's take a drive. And then that's when you connect. Okay, let's go buy this. As we are going, we connect, we talk, and then you just try and get them out of their rooms also to engage with them, because with all this online and everything is on screen, before you know, you have also lost your personal connection. So you deliberately have to try and engage on that front. And I think that for me, I always say that the kind of work we do, we can work anywhere, except maybe if you have to meet a customer face to face. And also, I think it has improved my personal relationship with my family and with other people as well. We've also learned how to work in other ways that initially was unheard of and all that. So that's how it is for me. Yeah.
Tokumo?
Okay, well, balancing during the pandemic, there are a lot of pluses for me. Maybe because of the sphere of my profession, being in HR and all that, one of the common things in HR is change. And of course, with this change that happened that was unprecedented, I had to leverage on getting a lot of information. Thankfully, like I mentioned earlier, my husband is a doctor, so a lot of COVID-related information was coming from my husband firsthand. So that was very helpful for me. So
Now
we're
we
trying to
know. Now we know we get it from the source.
where I'm getting my data from. So that was very helpful, having to read up and everything. And of course, you explain the stats to me, the trends and all that. So that was a major plus for me. And also because of course we're in the same space, funny enough, he had to actually work during the pandemic, being essential services. So he used to actually go and come and all that. But at least when he comes back, we could always catch up and everything. So on the family line too, I would say going virtual was also very helpful. Family members, loved ones, siblings, my parents, and all that. We could always engage. I remember the first Zoom party ever I attended was on Easter Sunday last year, one of my sister's birthday. She's in the US. And it was quite interesting and very refreshing. You saw so many cousins and all that. And it's not like a norm now. A lot of events, even then, we even have WhatsApp video calls and everything. So geographical boundaries are no longer a barrier with the access that we have to virtual and all that. I think that as one of the positive outcomes of the pandemic. Yes, it's a negative situation, but being able to leverage on some of those different tools to make it easier and more bearable. So, like I said, a strong support system has been very helpful to help us to balance during this period. Thank you.
Great. Edna, any comments?
Yeah, so I think for me the pandemic it was like a revelation. It taught us a lot of things, both on a personal level. Like at home, you had to, give each other space because everyone had to do their classes, and also having structure where, you have to wake up in the morning, like you're going to the office, do your meetings and the like, and also how to help your children manage, this new way of studying. And you're probably in the same space for days. So how do you balance, how, when do you start studying, when do you stop, when do you have social time together? Also trying to see how to use up your time as a family at home was also a new thing, because before you could say let's go out, in most cases you don't want to go out because of obvious reasons. So it was quite interesting because you also got to know each other a lot more because you are together all the time. And I think it makes your relationships a lot more stronger, because you have to deal with maybe some things you never knew, maybe challenges in school or subjects and things like that. Now you have the time to actually experience them with them, and talk to them about what to do, encourage them, because it was not easy for them. So that was on the home front. On the work front, of course, your customers, you have now to have online meetings. Some of them, so it's not something they adapted very quickly. So that was also, a challenge. But eventually, when everybody came on board, it was much easier. So I think the pandemic was quite a journey for me, at least. So I have learned how to do things differently. Customers are amenable to having online meetings more. So it also has reduced some of the travel you'd have had if you if you had to do it. So It has really taught me a lot, and also on the home front and also on the work front. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, just finally, let's talk about now, some of the standards that, society put on women, especially those that, you know, have achieved a great amount. Tokumba, what are some of these issues you face, and how do you actually go about disapproving the standards that are set by society, or, the ones people put on you?
Well, I think one of the major standards that is common to women across the globe is not just to a particular sector or industry or even nation, is a global thing. It's the thing about the glass ceiling. It's everywhere. Mhm. And you see from the recent story of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who just became the Director General of the WTU. Can we all know her story, and we're all familiar
Yeah.
with her story? Different barriers she's had to succumb in the journey and the course of her career. So it's something that's common when you check it out. Forbes, the top 100 companies globally, you ask yourself how many of their CEOs are female? Probably less than 10%. It's a global thing. So, well, one thing I try to charge myself to, and I try to tell anyone that I mentor or those that are close to me, is that first of all, as a person, decide to be excellent. You can never overlearn. Keep on seeking to grow, learn, relearn, and unlearn. That's one of the principles I go by. And I believe in constant and continuous personal development and improvement. We can never know too much. So if you keep on ascribing to be the best and want to exceed that previous best and get at one point you'll be recognized not because of the gender you are in or or the gender that you're identified by, but more for your capabilities and your competencies. And I think if one has that mindset, I think it's almost like defeating to think that, oh, it's because I'm a woman, I didn't get. No, 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 no. Ask yourself that, am I really, really the best? Let's change it. What if I were a man? Would I actually be chosen for this? So it's something that we constantly have to keep on reminding ourselves of. Keep on being the best that you can, keep on developing yourself. That way you will always stand out. One day someone will recognize competence. And there are actually women that we have seen role models that are indeed shining and are training that particular path. Thank you.
Edna?
Hmm. Okay, I think for me, I could say the person who told me I could do anything was my mom. She raised me to know I can do anything I set my mind to. Some people think that's a cliche, but that's why I've never seen myself not being able to do. If I know it can be done, so why can't I do it? So that's the attitude I've always had. And then that's what I've done throughout my career. I've always put targets for myself. So I move my target. After I achieve it, I go to the next and the next. Just improving myself in any area, be it my career, do I need to study, or even my social activities. If it's a game I like to play, how can I get better at it to enjoy it more? So for me, I would say, the barriers are what you set yourself to. And at least in this day and age, the barriers to women are not there like before. At least in my career, I've seen people don't see you as a woman or a mother or whatever, but see as what are you talking about? What are you putting forward? How do you perform? So if you put yourself in that space, you will not see any barriers. You just see possibilities, and that's what I've lived with. Thank you.
Great. Yakobo?
I would say that I believe everything more or less starts from our minds. That what you tell yourself is very critical, and what you say to yourself also. And I believe what the Bible says when that death and life is in the power of the tongue. So a few days to before my mom passed, I remember I spoke to her on phone she sounded strong. She sounded well, and very full of life. And she was. This is an 80-year-old. She was sitting on a exercise bike. So she said, "I'm busy. I'll call you back." Then, in less than 3 days after that event, she was gone. And what I learned from her during that short period, this was a woman who was very resilient. I never grew up knowing her to be sick. I mean, she didn't even own a sweater till she had to travel abroad. That was how, I mean, she wouldn't even let you know she was sick. And she always used to say that a woman should not show pain. A woman should be resilient. If you just go about feeling also miserable and giving an excuse for everything, who will take care of your children? So she kind of drove that into my mind that you need to be strong, you need to push, you need to focus. I mean, every area, even if you are sick, she will tell you that a woman does not show pain. It may be good, it may have its own negative side, but I think that it kind of helped me to know that you don't give up. And whatever endeavor that you are in, you need to push till the last minute. And the day before she died, then her talking had changed. And this was somebody who would not say, I mean, but few hours to her passing, then those kind of words started coming in. And I think that when she started kind of giving up the fight, that was when she embraced death, if I should put it that way. So I think that what you set your mind to do, trusting in God and taking all that you need, learning. I don't think that there's ever an end to learning. And you can learn from those above you, those at your level, and those below you. So for me, anyone I come into contact with, I look out for what opportunity is there for me to learn. What can I also contribute? I've realized that in my life, all through, I've never really straight away worked with what I studied in school. I always find myself shoved into a very, I should say, an area that is of great discomfort. It's not my comfort zone. I'm always being pushed into environments that are very unfamiliar. And that kind of mindset and all is what has also helped me to be able to adapt to all these different work environments and roles that I've had to handle, because I always find myself doing something apart from what my natural training gave me, or the natural Yakoba would have succumbed to, but I need to push myself to the next level to be able to make it. So I think that having that mindset, trusting in God, and also taking on all the learning, and then also the mindset should be that I must make it and I must do it and do it well, because if you don't do it well, you cannot come back for a reference for on that particular thing, and you cannot also recommend that thing because you did it very badly. So that's what kind of keeps me and drives me as well.
Great. Okay, so just to wrap up, are there any, last comments, tips, or advice that you would like to give out? Edna?
Okay, so my advice, especially to young career women, is just to stay focused. Whatever your dream is, be a dreamer. Always dream of bigger and bigger things. Believe in yourself no matter what, because you'll always come across people who may think you cannot do it. Just believe in yourself, have a passion, love what you do, and everything else will come, will come to pass. Always improve yourself. Be the best person you can be, your best version of yourself, I should say. And also just enjoy life. There'll be challenges, but always have those things that, that make you happy, because it's tough out there, but you can always overcome anything you put your mind to. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Yakobo?
I would also say that learn all you can. I was speaking to someone who wants me to mentor her just last week, and um, I said that you should never say that, oh, this is not on my job description, so I will not do it. Because at the end of the day, that exposure, you don't need anybody's permission to put it on your CV, or to be able to demonstrate it when the opportunity comes. So for me, I always say that whatever opportunity that comes your way, grab it, look at how best you can give yourself to it, and then make sure that you learn from it and you also put in your best. Yes, the challenges will come, and they come in various forms and in different ways. Have faith in God, have people that you can also confide in from time to time. Some you can't know it all. So there are times you need to ask for counsel. How do I go about this? You are at a crossroad and you are so stuck. You don't know how to forge ahead. It's good to have someone that you can perhaps confide in. When you can't take it, you feel you cannot take it anymore, look for a lightning rod and offload that pressure onto that person every now and then so that you can have that comfort and that counsel to forge ahead. Thank you.
Great. Tokumo, any last comments?
Okay. I would want to advise the young people out there that it's important that we balance three key things: body, take care of your body; your well-being, your wellness; mind, developing yourself; learning, keep on learning even until going into the grave. It's so important. And of course, um, the spirit, having your faith intact. And it's very key that people leverage also on relationships. Have the right kind of people that you are in your network that you can connect with, mentors, people that can help you. Yes, we're just coming through a pandemic. Things were particularly difficult. Last year, I'm sure people lost loved ones, friends, family, and all that. And there's sometimes there could be those challenging times when mentally it can be tasking when you think about some of those sorrows. And it's something that we all identify with. One people have been impacted one way or the other. I just want to advise that we should make sure that we treasure our relationships. People are important. Someone can be here today, they can be gone tomorrow. Let's value relationships. It's so important. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Edna, Tokumbo, Yakoba, for joining me today on this special edition of TED Talk. It was very insightful. I personally have gained a lot, and I feel empowered already. That's it from us for today. Don't forget to follow Instagram NG on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn to stay up to date on activities we have going on. Until next edition, bye.